The Merchant of Venice, Act 2, Scene 8. We all walk a different pathway in life, but for some individuals who belong to a hated group in a society, that pathway is a very difficult one. One such individual who's had a very similar path to that of Shylock's is w.e.b. Du Bois, an African-American writer and scholar, and one who helped found the NAACP. In one of his books, The Souls of Black Folk, he described what he believed was the critical fact of his life, that he was an African American. He wrote about living in a divided society between two sets of human beings, white people and black people. And he is aware of how aware he is of white people and what white people think about black people. And he thought that this was asymmetrical, for white people don't particularly care what black people think about them. For white people, black people are irrelevant. Perhaps Shylock's obsession with the scale of balance and with equality comes from this asymmetry, and his desire for Antonio's heart is an effort to be relevant. According to Du Bois, a great source of oppression, damage, and complication has come from this burden, having to bear this ongoing consciousness, having to think of oneself always within this framework of what white people make of them. And he described it as a peculiar sensation. Black people have no true self-consciousness. They only see themselves through the revelation of the other world. And this other world looks on with amusement, contempt, and pity. The Christians of Venice look on Shylock with contempt, calling him the villain Jew and the dog Jew. And the Christian world in this scene looks upon Shylock's suffering with amusement. Why, all the boys of Venice follow him, crying his stones, his daughter, and his ducats. What alienation must Shylock be feeling in this world that only mimics and ridicules his suffering? In this scene, a very divided society between these two sets of human beings, the Christians and the Jews, is evident. Both Shylock and Antonio have experienced a painful separation, but Shylock's separation is seen as humorous. He is mocked, "My daughter, oh, my daughter!" And it is simply a laughing matter, no more. But for Antonio the Christian, his separation is seen as being heartfelt. His eye being big with tears, turning his face, he put his hand behind him, and with an affection wondrous sensible, he wrung Bassanio's hand, and so they parted. Both Shylock and Antonio are experiencing a crisis, but Shylock's is an amusement, and no one is feeling piercing into their soul and a desire to offer comfort. For Antonio, however, there is humanity. Let us go and find him out, and quicken his embraced heaviness with some delight or other.